Hello and welcome to Vampire the Masquerade Long Beach by Night, Season 2, Epilogue 5, Sankofa. Let's meet our vampire.
Hey, I'm Alquin Gersh, and I'm playing St. Valentine.
As independent content creators, now more than ever, we rely on the generosity of viewers like you, both in the form of bits and tips, but also in supporting the sponsors that make this show possible, like Dogmite. You've seen my Dogmite screen. Again, I do not have it here, otherwise it'd be my Vampire Playhouse, but it is incredible. They have over 30 individual screens that you can get something dope. You can customize it, have it be exactly what you want. They are the purveyors of kick-ass gaming products. Visit dogmite.com to find out more. Backblaze, I shared with you all last week that we know Yev is canon. We know that Yev may be Cain. We know that Juan may be Cain. We figured out last week that Yev may be Juan. But what if there is no Yev and there is no Juan? What if there is only Cain? What if it's been Cain this entire time? Think about it. Don't you want to be on the Dark Father's good side? Visit backblaze.com/Long Beach by Night to make sure that you are. Again, for real though, $6 a month, no strings attached. Back up all your videos, data, pictures. You can access your data via your cell phone. If you ever need to do a backup, they will send you a physical drive. You can back if you want. Once you do your backup, you can send it back. They'll refund your money. Works on Macs, works on PCs, over 45 billion files restored. Billions and billions of files. Visit backblaze.com/Long Beach by Night. That's what happens when I try and read and word at the same time. Level Up Dice, purveyors of fine luxury gaming accoutrement for the discriminating gamer. They have both clan dice for Vampire the Masquerade. Again, all the clans that matter. I said what I said. They also have polyhedrals for all sorts of other games and anything that you would like, made out of a variety of super cool materials, a lot of which that you wouldn't imagine were even possible. So again, visit levelupdice.com to find out more. By now, by the time you're seeing this, nope, never mind. I was going to announce a thing, but I'm not sure when this is actually going to land because I'm incapable of wording and mathing at the same time. So if another thing has happened, you've seen it by now. Hey, all right. And last but certainly not least, Games for Love. Games for Love is a 501c3 kindness-oriented charity aimed at easing the suffering of children and increasing their quality of care. Again, with the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of times, even though children are supposed to be fairly resistant, oftentimes kids that already have compromised immune systems are having to go into heavy quarantine. And that can be very tough on them because being even more isolated. So we're raising money to buy gaming consoles, peripherals, buy them Switches so they can play Animal Crossing. Every $10 donated directly impacts 2 kids' lives. So visit gamesforlove.org to find out more. Now, with that being said, on with our vampire story. St. Valentine. Some nights have passed since the events at your show. It has been roughly a week since then. In the aftermath of what happened there was a concerted effort of many of the influential kindred that were in attendance to essentially bury this story. You found that the story that went out to the media was basically it was a malfunction in the halon system, and the whole thing was a tragic accident. There never really was any negative press on you, nothing on the Black Damp. It was just a tragedy. There was a memorial held, there was flowers and a vigil all given, and now with some nights hence, life is basically getting back to normal. What would St. Valentine have been doing in the nights hence?
I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, I saw that as being my retirement from the world of humans, basically. So, yeah, I think a lot of what I've been doing has not been of note. It's been just kind of depressing, what do I do now, sort of stuff. I've just been staying in my haven. I probably actually haven't even been communicating beyond the bare minimum that I need to with people like Reese and Vi and and all those folks, members of my coterie, because yeah, I kind of feel like it's over, like my story is over in a way, you know. And I've been kind of struggling with that, so I've just been trying to, like usual, immerse myself in my reading and go to other worlds in my head. But yeah, but I have been thinking a lot about the conversations that I'd like to have with Silk and the other people who I found out, you know, are that I am connected to, because you know, nothing ever matches up in my head, like the way I had projected, the way I had modeled what the future would be. It's never like that, and I'm having trouble handling my disappointment.
A few nights into this process, you get a text message. It just says, "Can I send you something?"
Okay, and I don't recognize the number.
A no number.
Stuff. Sure, I text back.
About an hour later, there's a knock on your front door.
What can I see on my closed circuit television system?
There is a man that is dressed like a vintage butler. Like if you were to pluck Alfred out of the 1920s and sort of like then drop him down. He is wearing white gloves. He is holding a silver tray. He's old, the comb over. Like, I mean, it's like someone cast this guy, and he is just standing on the front, standing out front.
All right, I hit the button to talk over the intercom. I said, "Yes,
Master Valentine."
Who sent you?
Lord Emerson and Lady Silk. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to call them Lord and Lady. Master Emerson and Master Silk.
Oh yeah, that's clearly better. Do you need to come in, or do I go out there? How does this work?
That is completely up to you, Master Valentine. I have just been sent to make this delivery.
Oh, okay. All right. Well then, just give me about 90 seconds, and I'll buzz you in.
Very good, sir.
All right. I'm gonna frantically run around and try to like kind of tidy up my foyer, because the place is kind of trashed. I've been living depression life, and so I don't want this butler to see my place in disarray. So yeah, there's some shoving of things behind couches and that kind of thing, and then yeah. And I then realized that I'm wearing like my bathrobe or something like that. And but this time, 90 seconds have passed, and I gotta stick with what I committed to. So I reach over and I buzz him in, and then kind of compose myself as I sit in an overstuffed club chair.
Is this the bathrobe from the 2002 tour?
Yeah, very rare actually. There's a small mistake in the embroidery on the back, which I think about every time I see it. But yeah, it is precious to me.
It is very comfortable. A moment later, the man walks in, and he very much holds the tray out with one hand and the arm behind the back. Like, I mean, again, he's what you would think of if like the butler stepped out of your dream. Somehow it's almost like he's walking with his eyes closed even. You're like, how is he doing that? But he just comes right up to you and holds out the tray.
Hold on a second. Before I take this, I want you to see something. And I go over to one of the various pieces of kind of furniture and stuff that has a cloth over it. And there's a sort of almost human-sized figure that I pull this drapery off of, and there's a carved sculpture of a butler holding a tray, like it's like an end table or something. And I point at him, and I point at the sculpture, and I go, "This is excellent."
It is uncanny, yes. And he goes, "Very good, sir."
All right, so I look. Is there like a letter on this little tray he's got or whatever?
Well, it is got a silver lid on it. Do you lift the lid?
Yeah, of course.
You ask him to lift the lid for you.
Oh no, I'm too excited for that.
It is very heavy. You can tell it's like it may well be solid silver. And underneath there is a piece of um golden uh paper is the wrong word. It's almost more like a parchment.
Mhm.
It is like almost, but it's kind of like semi-transparent. It's weird. Like
Oh,
you're aware immediately when you look at it that like some sort of alchemical process went into it.
oh,
And,
okay.
and it just says you're invited to the Magic Castle tonight. And it's got a time that's roughly 2 hours away.
Oh crap! I've got to get moving. All right. Thank you. Didn't get your name. I'm not supposed to tip you, right? Like that would be
No, sir. He's
okay.
I do it for the joy of service. And he puts the lid back on the tray and he does say, with respect, Master Valentine, would you like me to tidy up a bit?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't. That's it. Yeah, that's this is my fault. Yeah, I I think sometimes you know how it is. Like your living space can reflect your mental state, and maybe the act of cleaning this up, no matter how hurried, will help me clean this up.
That is very evolved thinking. Um, would you like me to drive you back to the Magic Castle, or would you prefer to make your own arrangements?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd love a ride.
Mm, very good, sir.
Um,
I shall wait in the car then.
okay, excellent, excellent.
Mm, very good. And he does turn to go right back out again.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go scrambling around. I have a particular outfit in mind, and I go to my closet and I try to find it, and it is not there. And then I realize that that part of that outfit is in the laundry, so I'm gonna have to get another outfit, and I'm starting to get a little upset about the fact that I should have prepared better for this. That's always me. I'm always supposed to be prepared. Why am I the most prepared person? This is not good. But yeah, I'll get my stuff together and try to look as composed as possible. I am going to bring with me the first text of significance that I purchased from that antiquarian bookseller, who I have been in contact with since the show.
You
Um,
have been communicating with Madison?
Yeah, he's actually one of the few people I've kind of talked to. And I probably overshared a certain amount, in a way, almost as if I'm kind of rehearsing talking to Silk by talking to him, you know? And sometimes in my mind, I still kind of forget that he's not my sire because in a way, I feel like I owe a lot of my magical and intellectual development to him, you know? So yeah, I bring along the first copy of the Necronomicon that he gave me, so or sold to me, but still.
It is a first edition. There are handwritten notes in the margins. He has told you more than once. There are things in this that were, even though this is largely fictitious, there are crumbs of truth woven into it. In this particular edition, some of those crumbs were entire slices of truth that had to be had to be edited out in subsequent editions.
Yeah, it's the beta version.
Mm-hmm. He has been warm and fatherly. He was effusive in his apologies for everything.
Well, we had an apology off. Like there was competing, escalating apologies because I mean, I kind of abducted him. So,
It's true. The last apology is with you. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, what does Saint Valentine look like once you are prepared and in your full accoutrement? Like what's his look?
Oh, I mean, like a lot like this. I've got a kind of like a little set of ascot. I'm going for, in some ways, it's kind of like a sort of, I don't know, like a goth Burt Reynolds meets like Marilyn Manson kind of thing happening.
You know, Goth Burt Reynolds meets Marilyn Manson is not just the best description of this look, but just the best description of anything, period, that I've ever heard. Deeply for all of this. Yes.
Yeah.
When you come out to the car, it is a very old Rolls Royce. Is St. Valentine a car guy?
I mean, it's interesting. St. Valentine doesn't know how to drive, but he actually does know a little bit about cars and like how to repair them, because he did help his mom with that at some point. She was, yeah, among her many jobs she did, she was a mechanic. So
You may not know all the details, but you can clock a vintage Rolls Royce. Sometimes it might be from the 50s or 60s. It's hard to say.
understood.
The butler gets out, and his white gloves have been replaced with leather driving gloves, and he does have a little hat on. And he
Okay.
gets out and opens the back door for you to get in.
All right. So yeah, I slink in and sit down without saying a word and try to look cool.
He closes the door and he gets back in and he starts driving, and he does not speak unless you speak to him. And you all leave. From Long Beach, you hop on the 405 and head north into Hollywood, which is where the Magic Castle is located. Now, St. Valentine has a history with the Magic Castle, I believe you said.
Yeah, I mean, with Hollywood, I mean, I spent a lot of time in my heyday in Hollywood. I had a townhouse for a while that was near the Capitol Records building. I had a few places, little hideouts on like Ivar and Cahuenga. There would be times after shows I didn't want to go all the way home, and I would, stumble into one of those. Or some of them were used for after hours, or I would throw goth clubs at them. But yeah, that was a time in my life when I was really looking to try to connect with the world of the Kindred. Like, I knew about it, and I was basically trying to reach out to them, just because I had heard inklings of them in my research of the stuff that like Madison was telling me to read, the reading list I had. But at this point, I look at all of it and I almost don't recognize it. Like, it's been, yeah. Now I think about it, it's been at least 15 years since I've been up here.
And you do see it both has and has not changed. It's many of the old dilapidated hotels look almost frozen in time, as if like the scum has sort of like embalmed them to a certain extent. Like the fire escapes that haven't moved in 50 years still cling tenaciously to the outside. The pizza joint is still a pizza joint. It's got a different name now, and many of the clubs are still there. But along with that is dotted in new construction. Almost gaudy against the backdrop of what was relatively understated. While the new $50 million condo is sitting just next to the mom and pop pawn shop that has still been in continuous operation all this time. And as you make your way past Hollywood and Highland, you see the stars on the Walk of Fame. And you make it over to Franklin, where the Magic Castle is located, basically 1 block off the Strip. The Magic Castle itself is, of course, an iconic location and tourist destination. Many people don't always realize that the Magic Castle is not just a venue, it is also a hotel. As you come pulling in, you go right up to the front, and the butler gets out and comes around and opens your door again for you silently, but he opens the door closest to the castle this time, so you would have to sort of like scooch across to get out.
Yeah. I get out of the car and I look at him and I'm like, you know, and in a way, I guess I should be happy that I'm getting invited here now, finally. I mean, like before, they wouldn't let me in here. They just wouldn't invite me, like you're supposed to get invited to join, to be this part of this society of, illusionists and magicians. And no matter how successful I got, that invitation never came. And now it's finally here, but it's under some different circumstances. I'm sorry, I kind of overshared there, but
he does just sort of look at you and he's like, I do not know if it is my place to say, sir, but in my experience, things happen when and how they're supposed to, sir.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right.
And he just motions towards the door.
Yeah, what's your name?
Dimitri, sir.
Dimitri. It's been a pleasure. I'm Javier.
He looks at you when you say that, and he just sort of like gives you the tiniest of smiles, and he goes, sir.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's make this happen. So yeah, I'm gonna walk up to the entryway of the building.
When you walk up towards the door, there are two guys on the front door that like open it for you, so it's the full like guest doors sweep open.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the Magic Castle is a beautiful place. It is a very quickly like it is almost like a sensory feast of different things to notice. That there is a bar. Everything inside of it is very much it almost feels like you're stepping through some sort of magical portal into maybe the 40s or the 50s. There's a lot of woods and places set up with like tables and like little alcoves to have like full dining parties. A large ornate staircase immediately is available for you to go upstairs. There's a big it's not a skylight because the sun's not coming through it, but like a recessed dome with a chandelier in it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are pictures and frame pictures all over the walls of just decades of magical history. It is equal parts museum as experiential place, and there are a handful of people in there walking around even as you come in. It's by no means full, but there's people at the bar that are sort of drinking, what looks like a small group of people enjoying dinner. You see a waiter walk up and put a tray of food down and pull the lid off, and nothing's there. And he sort of like looks confused, and then he puts the lid back on and pulls it off again, and there's like a sumptuous steak is there, and everyone, yeah. You're like, amateurs.
Yeah, there's a dish that has a steak on it that rotates with a thread, so he locks the top thing, and that's how he does it. When he lifts off the lid, it's all contained in there, and then he puts it back down and turns it, and that's how the plate reappears. It's always kept in the lid. It's a hidden thing.
Do you say that out loud, or do you just think it?
No, I just think it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm mad at myself for not enjoying this more, because it's beautiful and it's everything I ever imagined, but I understand how it's all being done. I can see the artifice. I know like that's just a veneer. That's not a real thing.
When presented with all of this and the staircase and the bar, you see one of the bartenders is sort of like making eye contact with you while he's wiping the bar, but he doesn't like wave at you or anything, but he looks right at you while he's sort of cleaning.
All right, so I go over to him.
He's like, good evening, Saint Valentine.
Hey,
a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
Can I get you anything?
I was going to say, Yeah. No, that's a dumb idea. No, I'm good actually. I'm good. Thank you.
No, to be clear, sir, I do mean, can I get you anything? And his eyes turn red for just a second, and then they go back to normal.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine actually. In
Hmm.
regards to what you're talking about.
There is a private performance that is set up upstairs for you. If when you are ready, I can have someone take you up.
Yeah, sounds good. Like now is good.
Is yes. Also, I was a big fan of the YouTube thing, and I was watching the live stream from the Black Damp. That was terrible how it all ended, but masterful work, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a farewell of sorts. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, one door closes and another opens, correct?
I don't know.
When he says that, from out of the back, a young woman appears who, again, is wearing, if the butler were the butler, she is definitely the maid. She's wearing sort of a grayish, nondescript, uniformish dress with like bronze buttons, and like a little hat. She's like,
Okay.
"Might I escort you upstairs, sir?"
Yeah, certainly.
She goes over towards the stairs, and she just sort of stands at the base and like motions for you to go up.
Here?
Yes, sir.
This is cool. This is one of those elevators, and I reached in and I pull and I like close the like accordion inner gates of like this old elevator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Wow, this is an old Otis. This is one of the first ones. This is amazing.
So you are really a student of this, aren't you, sir?
Yeah. I've actually read about this place a lot, so this is, yeah. I mean, I know about this stuff.
It is an art as well as a science. I would ask you, would you like to go up or would you like to go down?
Oh, I think I'd like to go down.
Very good, sir. And it is old when it goes down. Do you activate your sense the unseen, Saint Valentine?
I do. As much as I'm trying to center myself and be in the moment and stop thinking of the girl from Ipanema, I do activate my sense the unseen.
It all lights up like the Disneyland electric parade. Even on the first floor, there is the artifice of the showmanship. Mm-hmm. There is intense, incredibly powerful magic at work all over this place.
Yeah.
There are wards that you only have like the slightest inkling of like what that might do. You see there are arcane inscriptions all over the place in formulary that light up over some of the framed pictures that on the one hand, you're like, oh, that's a picture of Harry Houdini hanging upside down. And then you're like, oh, actually, that's the ritual by which one can like, limit a mortal's breathing for a time type of thing. It's almost like they're arcane cliff notes of the subject matter.
Oh yeah, and a clear reference to the hanged man from the tarot decks from the major
definitely.
arcana.
Definitely. So for someone with eyes to see it, this is a very powerful place.
Yeah.
And when you get down to the bottom level, the door opens up and you see Emerson standing there. The hallway is similar to what you saw upstairs with the woods and the carpet, but it is much less ostentatious. There are far less tchotchkes down here. It looks more just like the hall in a manor of some sort. And he's standing there and he's like, Saint Valentine,
Emerson,
I'm glad you were able to join us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I tried to try to say that in a way that isn't bitter and resentful. But yeah, thank you for inviting me. Finally.
Let's see if he detects if he detects the hints underneath.
If you're looking for degrees of difference, I'm not doing a very good job of hiding
it. What's funny is when the dice came up there, the first thing that came up were the skulls before any successes, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Emerson's like, "Great, cool, lightning." Like, thank you for joining us for It Will Be Your Last Night.
Yeah. Well, I think in a multiversal sense, that's probably happening somewhere else right now.
That is true. Somewhere, sometime, Saint Valentine is getting violently shocked. He just sort of like slowly nods, and he's like, "That's actually why I wanted to talk to you before I take you to sit with Silk, if you don't mind."
Yeah, no. I mean, if anything, I think I need a warm up for this, or maybe a cool down. I don't know.
He sort of like looks at you for a second, and he's like, "Can you find the hidden door?"
Okay, this is the part where I'm supposed to point one out, and then you tell me that there are actually 6 hidden doors, and I start reaching out and popping open various things. Which is really funny because some of these don't really go anywhere.
He sort of like looks, and he just does nod, and he's like, "That is that part of the show. That's true. But we're going in there."
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to just have one. I mean, you get one hidden door, and they might as well all be hidden doors.
When you walk into the room, there is a lot of Saint Valentine memorabilia. There is one of the 2002 robes is hanging in a glass case. There are posters from your shows. There's all the merch from the run you had at Hot Topic. All of that is there. There are newspaper clippings, because that used to be a thing, about the tragic accident that led to your death. There are, as you continue looking around, there are crime scene reports from your wife's untimely death. There are basically, it's a little shrine to you.
Wow. Okay. This is powerful stuff. I didn't know anybody. Like, I mean, I have people telling me sometimes, that they like my work or whatever, but this is different. This is personal. And like, if you describe this to me, I would think it is something kind of creepy, I guess, or kind of stalkery. But if I'm understanding who made this from the context, this is actually really, really fucking like sweet.
He looks at you and he says, "We keep records of every great mage here. And yes, we might have had a slightly vested interest in you, in your career."
I mean, when you say we, I mean, I know you mean her, but do you mean you too, or are there other people?
He actually motions for you to go into the room so he can close the door. There are beanbag chairs, like the St. Valentine limited edition beanbags on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
You had to be there for those.
Yeah.
And there are regular chairs also, which he turns around, one like a wooden chair, and he sits down on it, and he's like, "I do mean we, St. Valentine. I told you I did what I did to save you."
God, like, what part of me is it's like still super mad at you, but like, I just, maybe now's not the right time, but you're going to need to walk me through the why of that a little better.
I think even though I don't want to overly influence you in your upcoming interactions with Silk, but I do think now is the time to tell you this. We knew what you were trying to do. We, Silk and I, we, the Black Rabbits, we, the Tremere, we, the Camarilla, the Royal we, were aware that you were trying to get our attention, and you did. There was a concerted debate internally as to whether or not you should be embraced, or quite frankly, if you should be destroyed. I think you've probably been...
¿Por qué no los dos? Is that what you ended up with?
Not quite. Well, yes, I suppose that is exactly what we ended up with, but not intentionally. Do you remember that word I asked you at the club about the Bahari?
Yeah. And I know some legends about them, but not much else, except for the fact that they are supposed to be disruptive, I guess is probably the political way to say it.
Give me your wits in occult, Saint Valentine. To reflect your knowledge and research in the intervening nights.
4 successes.
Yeah, okay. You've come to realize, Saint Valentine, that some of this you already knew, some you've got more context for now, of course. The default belief amongst kindred is that Cain is the first vampire. That is sort of the no one knows if it's true, but we're all kind of like, operating under the shared agreement that makes as much sense as anything. Some kindred, of course, like all faiths, really believe it to the point of fanaticism.
Yeah.
But, most it's just sort of like, well, okay, sure.
Those are called Naudists?
Those are the ones that go in are called Naudists. But there's others that believe that Cain was not the first vampire. Lilith was.
Yeah.
The first human being ever created by God, cast out from the Garden of Eden for essentially being too fierce and self-determinate. And that she was the first, and that she is everyone's mother, and that she should be worshipped and put on a pedestal. And that Cain stole everything from her, and in time she will have her revenge. Is about the Bahari. Emerson sort of leans forward and he's like, Silk and I have been together for a long time. By together, I mean however you want to interpret it. In the time that we've lived, if you just picked us up at any given point, that word together could have meant 100 different things, really. But that's the one thing that she and I always really differed on, was the whole Bahari thing. But, faith is faith, and what do I know, right?
Well, tell me what you know, and then from context, I'll realize that Silk believes something different.
Well, what I mean is Cain, Lilith. I mean, the old me would have just said those are just Bible stories or fables to scare children. But the old me wouldn't have known, and his fangs come out, that all sorts of things are true. I've seen what the Bahari are capable of, though. They do have a significant power that's coming from somewhere. And Silk really believes it. She really believes it. And there's certain aspects of the faith. They value pain as a teaching tool. Not just, I don't mean in just some flesh suspension sort of way, although certainly some of them do get down with that. But no, just this what we all endure. Mm-hmm. is useful. And usually they value life. They are very much against killing, not in some sort of merciful way, but that a person should be essentially allowed to suffer longer to learn more is how they do things. Um, I'm not, I'm by no means an expert, and I'm sure she will explain it to you much differently, but here's the part that involves you. We decided that you needed to die. That was the conclusion. You were not to be embraced. You were to be eliminated. The Bahari have certain rituals by which a child can be consumed and their power can be taken. Silk was she was in a different place then. This is 15 years ago, you know. She's in a different place. And I think she concluded I don't know, waste not, want not. And that if you were supposed to die anyway, that she could serve the tower and the Dark Mother and advance her own power, and it was win, win, win. But I knew, and he does stand up and he comes towards you. I knew that if she did this, it would be a burden on her soul forever. I knew she would be changed irrevocably, and I couldn't let that happen. And so, like I said, I sabotage your trick so that after your embrace, but before she could do her ritual with her sisters, you would get dropped into the ocean. And I knew one day, quite frankly, you'd wash up on a shore or get fished out by somebody, or maybe you wouldn't. Because I'm not going to lie to you, man. I didn't do it for you. I did it for her. I will just tell you this one more thing. I think in the intervening years, I think she understands why I did what I did. I don't think you really are going to have to fear her suddenly pouncing on you and trying to drain you dry. Because if she decides she wants to, I hate to tell you, you're kind of fucked. But I think she's a different person now. Or at least she's not the person she was about to become.
Well, I mean, maybe I and you are part of the reason why that's true.
He sort of like looks around the room and he's like, in a weird way, well, it's not that it's weird, it's just strange to hear me say it. She is proud of you. She's proud of what you've accomplished. When you turned up a few months back, she wanted to get in a car and go to Long Beach that night. But there's one thing you got to know though about how the Camarilla does things.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to get permission to sire an offspring.
Yeah, that's like probably like the most important rule, isn't it?
I think the Masquerade's probably number one, but it's a close second. It's a close second. And she did not have permission to sire you. When it looked like you were just going to die anyway, it was academic. What difference did it make? But
so you don't think that she made me with the idea of just, I wasn't cattle, right?
you were supposed to die, Saint Valentine.
When she embraced me, it was in order to make me into a snack.
When she embraced you, it was to carry out a duly rendered death sentence, with which she was then going to recycle. Yes.
Okay.
The good news is, if any of this can be constructed as good news, you did die, so you're out from under that at least.
But isn't that just to like the world of the kind?
No, even to our justice, you're no longer a. Well, I was going to say you were no longer a potential threat to the Masquerade, but the truth is that's why we were at your show. If the YouTube thing, which I must admit, masterful work, if there'd been a repeat of that, we might have had to intervene.
No, I mean, I understand, but I mean, you hopefully understand the reason that I needed some of that was after being gone for so long, I needed to reinvigorate. I needed to restock my pantry in a way. You know what I mean?
Well, the truth is, I suppose it worked. I think you got what you wanted, even though you didn't know that was going to lead you here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to be famous the way I was when I was alive again. I think that would be more trouble than it would be helpful. But I do need a small group of very, very invested people.
That can be arranged. I mean, obviously, this works well for us.
I also need protection for my living family. I've been pretty good about keeping them out of all of this, but with some of the things that I think are coming, that's something I need help with.
Let me ask you just one question. Do you have anything else for me before Silk joins us?
No, I don't. Except maybe to thank you. I had the wrong idea about you.
He just sort of looks for a second and he's like so many of us, I've done a lot of things that I'm not necessarily proud of. But we Tremere, hopefully, can try and let a little more logic and reason and decorum guide our actions, right?
I don't know. I feel like we have to find a way to do that. We need to balance it with our passions.
He extends a hand and he's like, yeah. Okay. He leans over against one of the walls and he knocks twice at the top of it and then like knocks once at the bottom. He's like, she'll be here soon. You I got to tell you, for someone who kind of had to figure a lot of this out, you've made very impressive strides.
Thank you. I mean, I care about this stuff, you know. I think everything else was just a path to it, but I mean, this is what I burn for.
A moment later, the door opens and you see Silk. This time, before, she very much looked like a performer. She looked like a magician. This time, she just looks more like a person. Her hair is down, glasses. She's wearing a black dress, but it looks, it's not overly formal. It's like she looks like somebody that was expecting a visit from a warm friend. And she just sort of like looks at you for a second before she comes in. She looks around the room and she's like, "You brought him in here?" And Emerson just says, seem the best one. I mean, everybody thinks we're going to take him to the Houdini room, but no. And he looks back at you and he's like, Valentine, would you like me to stay or would you like to speak in private?
I think private would be better for now.
He stands up a second and he's like, well, then if you don't mind indulging me a tiny bit of showmanship. Smoke bomb. And he's gone.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't know how he did that. So that was impressive.
The basics of like, oh, he must no. Oh, surely he nope, it wasn't that either.
It's weird. It's like when if a chef cooks for other chefs, they cook in a different way. You know, it's just yeah, that was an impressive feat.
Silk reaches out and closes the door behind her, and it goes like, hey.
Hey, I mean, I'm sorry that I didn't come here earlier, but I feel like I think there were multiple factors that were part of that. As I've told you, I think someone has actively tried to misdirect me, but I have also got to acknowledge my own blind spot for some of this stuff. And I think a lot of that was because I got to a point where you would have never been able to fulfill my expectations. And so I didn't want to confront it.
She walks towards you slowly and she's like, I had this whole speech prepared. I've run
Yeah,
this
me too. But yeah, that went out the window. So tell me what you got.
Can I hug you? I mean, I don't know if your stuff's warded. I don't want to burst into flames or anything. Like, are we?
Yeah. I mean, if your stuff's not warded, then we're cool, I guess.
She's like, oh no, mine's warded. But if I touch you, then when you look at her, it is like she's like crackling with electricity, and she's like, but I can hug you, and she does reach out and hugs you, yeah, and she's like, okay, all right, hey, I guess he told you.
That you, I mean, he told me, but I still don't understand.
I don't expect you to understand. It made sense at the time.
I mean, did you think that somehow I would survive in you? Because that's the only thing I could think of, which would be a justification for siring a child just to murder them. Like, you understand how fucked up that is.
But you were already supposed to die. It was waste not, want not. It was recycling. I would have been doing what they asked. I would have been making the Camarilla happy. I would have been making the Bahari happy, and I would have gotten stronger. It just makes sense. Doesn't that make sense? If you can extract
from a very pragmatic point of view, yeah, it does.
Yeah, if you can just keep any basic human decency out of it. And I was in a place, it wasn't easy, Valentine. It wasn't easy, but I'd convinced myself I would have done it. I'd have done it. And then the trick and the safe and the thing, and I thought you were lost. I didn't know until you turned up last year what Emerson had done. I thought it was just a fucked up coincidence.
I mean, if you're trying to keep the Ivory Tower happy, don't they look down on that kind of behavior of making someone and then destroying them?
Yeah, but there's ways. But yeah, hey,
like, I like you and I can relate to you, but you don't seem like a very good person. And I know that I'm not a very good person either, so I just don't really have any room to talk about this. But
yeah, none of us are.
Yeah.
None of us are good people, Saint Valentine. There's in this place right now, here in the Magic Castle, there are monsters. And that's not counting the rest of Hollywood. Some of those anarchs, you know, and God knows what else. What we offer, what the Camarilla offers, what the Tremere have is structure, order, a way to go about our unlives that is not just chaos. Valentine.
I mean, what you're describing sounds good, but that's also the pitch for fascism. I mean, at least the trains run on time, right?
You know, I'm not here to offer you an invitation. As of right now, I couldn't, even if I wanted to. I just wanted you to understand how things got to be the way they are. And I wanted to be able to tell you that I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for the reason that I created you. I'm sorry that you were left alone, and I'm sorry that it is worked out this way. But if anything had happened how it was supposed to be, you should have died years ago. So I guess maybe you're ahead, huh?
I mean, I see what you're doing, and it's stuff that I've done, like not all of this is for me. It's so much of this is for you. Even now, like this is more about you feeling better about if I'm not in a bad place now, or you don't think I am, you feel like it's something that just it's to make you feel better. It's for your conscience. I mean, that's nice. I mean, the fact that you're doing all of these mental gymnastics and stuff shows me that at least you have a capacity for guilt and a conscience. And I'm not saying I'm any better. I've used people or passively allowed them to be used by me, if that makes sense. I don't like. There's so many ways that you can do it. Like I don't even know when I'm manipulating somebody.
I'm a member of a chorus, Saint Valentine. The spotlight falls on me from time to time, but I'm supposed to stand in the background and keep the beat. Ooh and ah when it's time to ooh and ah. Clap when I'm supposed to clap. Jazz hands when I'm supposed to jazz hands. That's my life. And I've chosen it. I understand my place in Clan Tremere. I've done some questionable things, but I don't regret them. And you hear a bell starts ringing. Like ding, not like a fire alarm, like a ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And she goes, "Oh, okay. We don't have a lot of time. So I'm sorry. A thing is happening. I need you to know something that I didn't get to tell you at the show. Also, brilliant work at the show, by the way. It was all practicals. It just Madison, do you know who he is?"
Okay. When you say it that way, I guess I don't. I thought I did, but I've been wrong once already. So tell me how I'm wrong again.
Do you know who Nefeli Bata is?
Well, I've read the name, but no.
She's the new Tremere Prince of San Diego, and he is her ghoul. So if he knows who you are, she knows who you are.
I have some friends with some other connections to San Diego. This could get very complicated.
It could. Yeah, I know her. She and I ran in slightly different circles. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's Tremere. It's one circle, but you know,
It's a triangle, and you
it's
know that.
it is a no. You've been reading. See, that's you knew it was a triangle. See, yeah, all right, yeah. Hey, um, yeah. I don't I don't know her, but I don't trust her. And neither should you. So be careful what you say to Madison, because if anything you tell him, you've got to assume that she knows, that they all know.
Okay, this would have been. Well, on one level, I don't feel as bad because, like, over the past week, I have shared a lot with him. But then again, in some ways, I feel like I haven't shared. Geez, it's so hard to separate what information is secret and what isn't. What is really a cult?
Saint Valentine, I need to ask you something very important. Did you tell him about the Bahari thing?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. And you hear the bell starts to ring again. And she's like, all right, there's something that requires my attention. I apologize. Is there anything else you want to ask me? Again, I wish I could be like, oh, come be a black rabbit, come join the Camarilla. I can't. I can't. If you want that, decide if you even want that. I will see if there's a way. Right now, it is not in the cards. No pun intended. And she very much like produces like cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then she like turns over and they're gone again. But she's like,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to ask me? Because I don't know when we're going to get to be alone to talk again.
I hope you understand that at this point, my loyalty, of course, is always to myself first. But there's another circle beyond that, or another triangle beyond that. And those are the kind of mixed group of people who I are kind of my current peer group, other kindred. Is there any continuing to be associated with them? Is that losing me any points anywhere, or like, is there any? Are my friends okay, Mom?
I mean, I myself thought they were interesting and they fought quite effectively against those fucking Giovanni. Here's the thing. I don't know if Emerson explained this to you. I didn't necessarily go through the proper channels when I embraced you. And that is problematic. It's not like you're gonna have like a blood hunt or anything on you like that, but you got a little bit of the scarlet letter right now, Val. And that and the YouTube thing. But hey, we came back, Emerson and I came back, and the report we sent up was everything at the club completely above board. That you're building up your credit. You're building up your credit. Whatever's happening in San Diego, whatever Prince Bata's up to, keep an eye on that. Our hands are full here in LA, and the bell rings again, and she very much is like, okay, I gotta go. She goes over to a drawer and she pulls it out, and she has a small book and hands it over to you. She's like, some rituals. What I would have taught you.
When will I see you again?
I would like to talk. Call. There's a lot's happening right now. A lot's happening.
Okay, well, just so you know, if you need anything, I think I've shown my competence and my capability. And my friends and I, we're concerned about how the Giovanni have been running Long Beach. And if you need help, don't forget that we can be a resource.
She nods and she's like, yeah, if you get into too much trouble, just let me know and I'll do what I can. But for now, and she motions, and when she does, the door just swings open, and the young girl in the maid outfit's right outside. It's
All
like
right.
she's gonna see you back to the car, okay? I have
Okay.
to. And she just hugs you again, like very briefly, and lets go and walks out very quickly, like turns and like heads off down the hall.
All right.
And
Great uniform, by the way. This is really cool.
she looks at you and she goes, "Thank you, sir." And she does escort you out back. And Dimitri is waiting back by the car again, and opens the door to let you in. And he closes it. And when he gets back in and he starts driving, and he's like, "Is there anywhere else you'd like to go, sir?"
Take me to the docks.
Very good, sir. Very good. And that's a good place for us to stop. So, thank you, Alquin Gersh. I guess tell everybody where they can find you here.
You can find me as different _elves on Twitch and Twitter and Instagram. And you can catch me on shows on QueueTimes or on the D&D Twitch channel, Dark and Wish, which is on Thursdays. So please watch that.
Absolutely. And
you're on it too, Dave. Did you know that?
What? I heard you got a pretty good DM for that show. Looks kind of awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you all for tuning in, and join us next week for the bonus epilogue that you all asked for. Demanded, the howled on high, no pun intended, for Joey to get his epilogue. So tune in next week to see Joey's epilogue with a very extra special guest. We'll see you next week.